expand your vocabulary with our Core 2000 Words ebook. It's free and packed with essential expressions that you'll use on a daily basis. Start building your vocabulary today. Click the link in the description below to download your free Hebrew ebook before it's gone.
Shalom, אני Anna. Welcome to HebrewPod101.com's Aleph Bet Bekalei Kalut, the fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn the Hebrew alphabet, the Aleph Bet. Over the next 20 lessons, you'll learn everything there is to know about reading and writing Hebrew. By the end, you'll even be able to read some portions of the Hebrew Bible. Are you ready? So let's start. בואו נתחיל. Hebrew has only one alphabet of 22 letters, so it's super easy. Once you know these, a few variations and a simple vowel system, you will be ready to read one of the most ancient languages in the world. As you may know, the Hebrew writing system is written from right to left. At first, this may seem intimidating or confusing, but you'll get the hang of it in no time. Let's start with the first letter, Aleph. What sound does Aleph make? In Hebrew, the name of each letter starts with the sound you use to pronounce it, which means the sound of Aleph is A. It is handwritten like this. Now, in Hebrew, there are always two ways to write a letter: the written way, which is used in everyday handwriting, and the print way, which you will see in books and newspapers, on signs, and so forth. This is the written way. The print version looks like this. When Israeli kids first learn how to write, they use this print typewriting. It's useful and, as you'll see later, very easy to learn both versions of every letter. Let's do it again. Here's the written form. And here's the print form. You can now write your first letter in Hebrew. Good, let's move on. The second character is Bet. The sound of Bet is B, and it looks like this. Pay attention to the dot, it has to be in the middle. The print version is like this. If you leave out the dot, Bet becomes Vet. The sound of Vet is V, but we don't count Vet as a separate letter in the alphabet. So far, you've studied two letters of the Hebrew Aleph Bet, and you've learned three sounds. Want to write them once again? Let's do it! Okay, here is Aleph. This is handwritten. Aleph in print. And now Bet, handwritten. And Bet in print. Then Vet, handwritten. Vet in print style. Did you know you can already write a word in Hebrew? This is Abba. Abba in Hebrew means father. It is the first word every Israeli baby says. These are the simplest phonetic sounds. Try it out. Abba in handwriting. And now the print style. Abba. Great job! In this lesson, you learned the first two letters of the Hebrew alphabet, the Aleph, Bet. You also practice your first word, in both print and writing styles. Before we move on to the next lesson, I want to introduce the Hebrew vowel system. Among 22 Hebrew letters, there are 5 vowels. one of which we learned in this lesson. But beside those 5, there is another vowel system called nikud. Nikud are a series of dots or points that are used to indicate vowel sounds connected to consonants. Once you have more experience reading Hebrew, you may not see these symbols so often in native texts. But if you can master them when you start learning Hebrew, it will make learning Hebrew much faster and easier. The nikud take the form of dots, lines, and combinations of the two, and are written in, under, on top, or beside consonant letters. Sound complicated? Don't worry, we'll take it slowly, and by the end of this series, they will seem easy. Now it's time for Yana's insights. Have you been writing as you watch? Hope so. There is no better way to master the alphabet quickly than to write them yourself. I also recommend that you make flashcards for each letter and study them whenever you get a chance. Do you know how to write dag, the word for fish, in Hebrew? It will definitely come in handy when you read a menu in Israel. And you learn that and much more in the next lesson. להתראות! Shalom, אני יאנה. Welcome to HebrewPod101.com's Aleph Bet Bekale Kalut, the fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn the Hebrew alphabet, the Aleph Bet. In the last lesson, we learned the first 2 letters of the Aleph Bet. Do you remember them? In this lesson, we'll move on to the next couple of letters and the first nikud symbol. So let's start. בואו נתחיל. The third letter of the Aleph Bet is Gimel. The sound of Gimel is G. Let's first see how to write it by hand. Gimel in handwriting. And in print it looks like this. Gimel. They look quite different, don't they? But the good news is that you already can write another Hebrew word, gag. This means roof in handwriting. Gag. And in print it looks like this. Gag. Here you may be a little confused. If you were to see this word written, you might want to read it as gug. There is no vowel sound. In Hebrew, the vowels are often not written. You would know that this word is pronounced gag because it has been taught to you before. And this is why the nikud is so important. The nikud shows learners of the Hebrew language what vowel sound is used in words, but don't rely on them too much. As you get more experienced with Hebrew, you should be able to remember how to read words, even if the nikud is not attached. Now it's time to introduce to you the first nikud. Remember, nikud are small points and lines that are placed in, under, on top, or beside consonants. The first one has the sound A, just like Aleph. This is kamatz, and it looks like this. And it's always written right under the consonant letter. Let's write roof a couple more times while pronouncing its sound, A. So for example, gag in handwriting looks like this. Gag. And in print, gag. Also, the word Abba has kamatz under 2 of its letters. Abba. And in print version, Abba. So now you can read and write 2 words in Hebrew using the full vowel system. You can adjust the sound of the letter Gimel by writing a comma right here. Now it is read J, as in the name George. First the Gimel, and then the comma on the upper left side. and in print it looks like this. So now let's move to the fourth letter, Dalet, with the sound of D. Dalet. That's it, just one curve for the handwriting. And Dalet in print looks like this. Dalet. So let's make another word with the letter Gimel and Dalet. Here, dag means fish. This will come in very handy whenever you are in a restaurant. Let's write it. Da, g. And now in print. Da, g. Now it's time for Yana's insights. Don't get lost in studying and forget the real world. Find Hebrew letters around you. Don't see any Aleph-Bet letters around you? Go to HebrewPod101.com and check out the Aleph-Bet transcripts for every lesson dialogue. You may not be able to read them all yet, but you can get a feel of how the Hebrew letters are used in real life. Do you know what ahava means? It's the most romantic word in Hebrew. You will be able to write and read this and much more in the next lesson. See you then. Lehitraot.
If you want to learn more words so you can speak and understand even more of your target language, there is a super simple way to do this. In fact, it's so simple that most people don't even think of it because it doesn't involve language apps, YouTube videos, or your computer. I'm talking about writing things out by hand. How to learn words and phrases by writing them out. And in this guide, you'll discover 1. Why writing words out helps you pick up languages faster, 2. How to use our free PDF workbooks to practice writing, and much more. But first, if you don't yet have access to our language learning system, sign up for a free lifetime account right now. Just click the link in the description to get your free lifetime account. You probably already know that one of the best ways to master a language is through actually using it and practicing it. And that's where writing things out comes in, because you're using the language when you write it down. And on top of that, the physical act of writing helps your brain remember the words much better than seeing them on screen or typing them out. Now, handwriting may feel slow, but by taking it slow, you actually speed up your learning and master the language faster because you engage more of your brain in the process. So, how can you do this? You can apply this trick to any resource that you're using right now by simply copying out the words and phrases that you come across. The more you write them out, the better they'll stick. With our learning system, you can 1. Practice with our free PDF writing workbooks and worksheets. All members get free access to our PDF writing workbooks and worksheets, which are based on common topics like the alphabet, common nouns, adjectives, greetings, and much more. Inside, you learn the most common words and phrases for that topic, and you get plenty of space to practice writing the words out. And in the last section of the workbook, you'll get tested on the words. You'll see the translations of the words, so you'll have to try and remember the meaning in the target language and write it in. 2. Practice writing with the free Word of the Day emails. Every day, we send you a new word to your email inbox. You get the audio pronunciation, sample sentence, and a picture to help it stick. But you can also just as easily write that word down and do that daily, every time the emails come in. And now you have a simple language routine going that you can stick with. Now, if you want to learn a little more than just words, you can 3. Practice writing out the conversations from our lessons. So, if you want to master entire conversations in your target language, you can also copy out the conversations from our audio and video lessons by hand. And this will help you master words, phrases, and grammar rules all at once, since you're not just writing out words, but actual lines. Just scroll down to the dialogue section of a lesson to see the conversation. So, if you want to get access to these learning tools and our learning system, sign up for a free lifetime account right now. Just click the link in the description to get your free lifetime account. Remember, here's what you can do to learn all of these words by heart. Drill these words with our spaced repetition flashcards, which will help cement these words into your long-term memory. Save them to the word bank, your personal vocabulary collection, where you can print out your own study sheets, or review the words with our looped vocabulary slideshow, and play it until you know all of the words. So click the link in the description right now and sign up for your free lifetime account to get these lessons and study tools.
Shalom, אני יאנה. Welcome to HebrewPod101.com's Aleph Bet Bekalei Kalut, the fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn the Hebrew alphabet, the Aleph Bet. In the last lesson, we learned the third and fourth Hebrew letters, Gimel and Dalet. Do you remember how to write fish? And what about roof? In this lesson, we will learn how to write the word for love in Hebrew. Are you ready? So let's start. בואו נתחיל. The fifth Hebrew letter is Hey. Hey sound is Ha, but it can also sound like Ah. You will see how it changes in a second. Let's first write it in handwriting. Hey. The print version is very similar. Hey. Make sure to keep Hey curved while handwriting, but use sharp angles in print. So, as I mentioned, Hey can sound like both Ha and Ah. The word Ahava uses it in both ways. When Hey appears in the end of the word, it will always sound as Ah. Ahava is love in Hebrew. Let's try to write it down. Ah, pronounced Ha. Remember, the sound here is V, so we don't need a dot of bet. Pronounce A. Let's do it once more in handwriting. Ahava. Ahava. Isn't it a beautiful word with a beautiful curved shape? Now let's do it in print. A. Ha. Va. So if you want to add the full nikud for this word, we need to use a new nikud symbol, patach. Just like kamatz from last lesson, patach has the sound of A. Now remember, when you write in modern Hebrew, you don't need to use the nikud system. It is there mostly for you to read, especially when learning new vocabulary, or if you want to study the Hebrew Bible. Now let's spell Ahava with the full nikud. Ahava. A-ha-va. Ahava. Here's the print version. Here you saw how the letter Hey can sound in two different ways. So you already know 5 Hebrew letters and several words. Don't forget to practice the characters in both handwriting and print. Now it's time for Yana's insights. Doesn't Hey from this lesson sound like Hey in English? When you say hello to your friends? That's exactly the sound for the Hebrew letter Hey. Now you can think of the letter Hey when saying hello to your friends and memorize it better. In the next lesson, we will see how one word can be pronounced in 3 different ways in Hebrew. It may sound confusing, but remember, you'll have the nikud to help you. See you next time. להתראות. Shalom, אני יאנה. Welcome to HebrewPod101.com's Aleph Bet Bekalei Kalut, the fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn the Hebrew alphabet, the Aleph Bet. In the last lesson, we learned to write the most important word in Hebrew, Ahava, the word for love. Do you remember the nikud for Ahava? If you're not feeling confident about it, review the last lesson before continuing on from here. In this lesson, we will learn 1 new Hebrew letter and 3 more nikud. Are you ready? So let's start. בואו נתחיל. The 6th letter is vav. The sound of vav is v or o or u, and it's written like this. That's it. Vav has only 1 stroke from top to the bottom. The print version is the same for vav, with only a small difference. In Hebrew, vav is not only the name of the character, it's also a word by itself. It means a hook. Doesn't vav look like a hook? You can write this word like this. It's just the letter vav 2 times. If you want to add nikud, it will look like this. Now we move on to the next nikud symbol, chirik, with the sound I, like in C. It's just 1 dot under the letter, I. Now you can write a very common name, one that belongs to the second and perhaps most famous king of the ancient kingdom of Israel, David. It's written with 2 Dalet and 1 Vav. The nikud here is important, otherwise it can have different pronunciation and meaning. Let's write this word. David. And now in print. David. The next nikud for this lesson is shuruk, with the sound u. This is how you make vav sound like u. For example, if we take the same letters from David and instead of chirik we add shuruk, it will be dud, electric water heater. Perhaps now you can appreciate the power of learning the nikud when you're first studying Hebrew. Let's write this word. Dud. And now in print. Dud. Notice how shuruk goes to the left of the vav. Seem complicated? Don't worry, we will review them all at the end of this lesson. But not before we will learn the last nikud for today. Cholam maleh, with the sound of o. This is how you make vav sound like o. Let's write this. D, o, d. Dod. And now in print. Dod. Notice that cholam maleh appears above the vav. Now, shuruk and cholam maleh are only written with the letter vav and not with any other letter. Chirik, however, will appear below other letters. Now let's see all the last 3 examples together and make sense of them. First, we had David, Dud, and Dod. Now let's have a short quiz. I'll show you the nikud symbol next to a letter and you have to pronounce its sound. Ready? A, U, I, O, A. Now it's time for Yana's insights. Since you will not see any nikud in modern readings in Israel, you will have to guess by the context of the sentence which pronunciation and meaning it has. It all comes with the experience of studying Hebrew vocabulary. Another tip is when writing the letter vav, it is important to keep the length of the stroke inside the frame. Otherwise, it becomes a different letter. But that's for later. So in this lesson, we studied the letter vav and 3 nikud in Hebrew: chirik, shuruk, and cholam maleh. In the next lesson, we will learn 2 more Hebrew letters, zayin and chet. See you then. Bye.
Expand your vocabulary with our Core 2000 Words ebook. It's free and packed with essential expressions that you'll use on a daily basis. Start building your vocabulary today. Click the link in the description below to download your free Hebrew ebook before it's gone.